Tennessee Titans fans, the calendar has shifted over to March, which means we are less than 2 months away from the NFL draft, where the Tennessee Titans have the number one pick of the draft, and everybody is trying to speculate as to what the Titans will do with that pick, including Tom Pelissero. That is who we are checking out today. What does Tom think about the Titans' options with the number one overall pick in the NFL draft? Be sure to like, sub, comment below. Let me hear from you. Here we go.
What do you think the Titans plan to do at number one?
It's a fantastic question. I think that the best possible outcome in the Titans' minds would be somebody comes to them with the type of offer for the number one pick that leaves them no choice, and you just have to take it and build for the future, pick up additional first-round draft picks, and then figure out how far you're dropping. Is one of those quarterbacks there at that point? Do you get the best position player available and move forward, but get significant value out of it? The issue is in this draft, I don't know, and maybe people feel different about Cam Ward by the time we get to the last week of April, but I don't know that there's a quarterback or any position player that people are just going to clamor for and want to give up multiple future first-round picks.
Okay. I talked about this briefly on the podcast this morning, but I keep hearing Titans want to trade back. Titans want to trade back. Titans are aggressively trying to trade back. We have not seen anything that would indicate the Titans are aggressively trying to trade back. All that Mike Borgonzi has said, all that we have heard him say is, we've gotten calls. That's all he said. We have gotten calls, which is pretty commonplace for a team with the first round pick. Now, Tom says they would love to get an offer that they absolutely cannot refuse to trade back. What would that be? What is an offer you can't refuse? And as Tom said, are you realistically going to get that in this draft? How far back are you willing to go? Because if you go back to 6 with the Raiders, you're not getting Cam. You're not getting Carter. You're not getting Hunter. You're not getting any of those guys. So it's just, I don't even see any evidence that the Titans are like, oh, we want to trade back. We have to trade back. That is what we want. I think, yeah, they would love for Dallas to call up and say, hey, we'll give you, prime Troy Aikman, prime Michael Irvin, prime Emmitt Smith, and the cheerleaders, and you guys can have it, and we'll take number one pick. I'm sure they would love that. But realistically, I agree with Tom. A, I don't think that's going to happen. And B, I'm still not sold on the fact that that's actually the Titans' best case in their minds. I think they like these guys at the top of the draft.
To go up a spot or 2 or 3 and take the guy. So, the Titans will have, I believe they'll take this as far into the process as they need to, continue to listen to potential offers for the number one pick. When it comes right down to it, they've got some various pressures there. They've got a new GM in Mike Borgonzi. They got a second-year coach in Brian Callahan. They had the worst record in the NFL last season. They're building a stadium.
Tied for worst record.
The ownership wants to have some excitement surrounding that stadium. You need to face the franchise type of player. You also need a quarterback. And there's not a lot out there in terms of quarterbacks if you're talking about free agency. Maybe in trades, maybe some of the older players who are available could be allured.
Who you trading for? Stafford's already off the market, and that wouldn't have made sense anyway. Let me swallow this ice. That wouldn't have made sense anyway. Other than him, who is there that the Titans could trade for that would come in and be a difference maker at quarterback? I mean, I can't think of anybody. There's literally nobody that comes to mind. So I think you look at free agency, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but Aaron Rodgers would be a 1-year rental. Kirk Cousins would be a 1-year rental, and not a very good one at that, I don't think. Russell Wilson would be a 1-year rental. Justin Fields, I think, staying in Pittsburgh, but even if he was available, I just don't think he fits the system at all. Sam Darnold, I don't want to pay Sam Darnold to come here for 2-3 years. I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to be married to Sam Darnold. Yeah, we can always divorce him later, but I don't want to be married to him.
In there, I just believe they need to be fully convinced. And if they're not sold on Cam Ward or if it's Shador or, I still think there's a realistic possibility that one of these other quarterbacks who is throwing, Cam and Shador or not, but one of these quarterbacks who is throwing at the combine, whether that's Jackson Dart or Quinn Ewers, one of those guys could vault themselves into the QB2, if not the QB1 situation. If they just aren't sold on any of those guys, Travis Hunter is such a dynamic player. And Abdul Carter, obviously, he's been dealing with a couple of different injury things here of late. But if you're sold on that guy as Chad Brinker might have referred to him as the transformational player that makes you not want to move.
Generational. How could you mess that up? Generational is the word we love to use. Again, this is all speculation. Chad Brinker never said who he was talking about. He didn't even insinuate that he was talking about anybody. He said we're not going to pass up on a generational player at 1. That was before February. That was before they had even watched film. And we're talking about, the Titans want a generational player. Well, of course they do. Everybody does. I stand by the fact too many people read too much into comments about generational players. That was such a vague statement that everybody took and made huge headlines out of. What a common thing for an NFL GM to say. We want a generational player with our first round draft pick. Well, of course. Why is that news? Why is that headlines? Well, who's generational? Who's generational in this draft? Well, the Titans are going to have to decide that. They got to decide whether they think that's Hunter or Carter or Ward or whoever. But I don't think they had made their mind up when he said that. I don't think they've made up their mind now. I know they haven't.
Out of that pick, if you just think that guy's the best one to take, then you sit and want to do it. I think, though, that you put yourself in a really tough spot if you take a quarterback at number 1 that you are not 100% sold on, because you only get one swing at these things. Very few GMs get a second opportunity to draft a franchise quarterback, even though it's Mike Borgonzi's first year. There's certainly going to be a lot of focus on how he and Chad Brinker and Brian Callahan and the rest of the brain trust there, how they navigate this thing. I do think that Travis Hunter is probably the one that we have talked about the least. I've seen all the mock drafts with Abdul Carter going number 1. I've seen all of the, the quarterback speculation, namely with Cam Ward. There's never been a cornerback taken number 1 overall in the modern draft history. But Travis Hunter is more than a cornerback. This guy could be the closest thing that we've seen in terms of a two-way player since Deion Sanders, who was his college head coach 30 years ago. If you just think this dude is so rare that he's going to be the one who can guide you forward, and then you kind of, you scrap it together, whatever you need to do with the quarterbacks, maybe look in 2026 for the QB, I think you got to really be reluctant about just saying, well, we have to get a quarterback right here at the expense of missing out on somebody who can be a generational talent.
You're 100% right. That's how I see it. I don't know how you possibly pass him if you can possibly get him.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live.
I'm tired, folks. I'm tired. What are you even supposed to do? If they're not sold on a quarterback, they shouldn't take one. If they are sold on them, they should take them. Okay. Abdul I don't know. I feel like we've reached that point. It's March 3rd. I feel like we've reached that point where there's just nothing new to say. Now, when free agency opens up, yes, that'll add some different things to it. But for right now, it's just like there's nothing more to really say. The Titans could take Ward, they could take Carter, they could take Hunter. The reasoning behind each of them is solid. And there's really just the reasoning behind trading back is solid. Those are the options. And the Titans are clearly not going to play their hand any more than they already have, which they shouldn't. There's just not much else left that we can analyze. Those are the options. We've made our case for each one. Now let's wait for free agency to open and see how that maybe changes some of the storylines as we go into the draft. But for right now, people have their opinions, and that's fine, but there's only so much you can analyze at this point. We know what the options are, and we know why they would be good options for the Titans. Tighten up, everybody. See ya.